welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today I'm going to go in depth to teach you how to get this bright, colorful makeup look. I have been super into playing around with the shape of my eye, playing around with different colors, seeing how I can always improve my technique, and today I'm going to share with you one major thing that completely changed the game for doing kind of these really rainbow-ish, faded, bright neon makeup looks that are just a very rounded shape. So I'm gonna get into that game changer in just a second. But today, to create this makeup look, I just used the Morphe James Charles palette. I have an entire 7-video series about this palette. I will have it linked down below. Any other tutorial that I have created using this palette will also be in that playlist. I know if you are a subscriber of mine, you know I felt very about this palette. I felt it was hit or miss. I still think that the BH Take Me Back to Brazil palette is comparable to this. However, this palette is just so strange to me because when something doesn't work, I'm very stubborn. So I'm very determined to figure out why and how to make something work. And literally months of playing around with this palette, I feel like I'm finally starting to figure it out and figure out certain colors and how to manipulate them and how to make them work. So if you're struggling a little bit with this palette, or if you're just curious about working with bright colors to begin with, I really feel like this video is going to be helpful for you. So before I get into the actual tutorial, I want to talk about tools in the actual game changer for my makeup. I am somebody, if you're a subscriber, you know I love the Real Techniques 203 blending brush and the Morphe M433. These are two staple brushes in my collection. They're pretty much anything and everything that I use. They're my two favorite blending brushes. I thought that these were the only two brushes that you need and you can create any makeup look, and I was wrong. So if you really like a buffed out, blended out, smoky eye, something that's very these are great brushes. However, if you're trying to create something that's a little bit more cinched in, like this makeup look, how we have the purple hovering and the pink above it, and it's not super blown out, because before I was kind of forced to blow things out to my actual brow bone because my brushes were so big. And while I really like that look a lot and there's nothing wrong with doing that, I kind of wanted to play around with different techniques and see how I can perfect more the Mama Mitchell style of makeup. So the key to fixing that and really being able to perfect your makeup is smaller brushes. So, I mean, even ones that are smaller than this would be great too. So here I have the Morphe, I have two Morphe M506 brushes, which is kind of weird. I thought they were different because this one's a little bit more fluffy and this one isn't as fluffy. It doesn't look like it has as many bristles and it's a little bit more compacted. No one ever said Morphe was consistent with their products. And then this is a brush that I've had forever. This is the E36. I love this. I use this for my lower lash line. But in today's video, I literally use these three brushes. The E36 I use for both colors on my lower lash line, and I went back and forth between these two 506s. So just for comparison reasons, if I can talk, I'm going to line my brushes up. So right here, you can truly see the difference. They're not as wide, they're not as thick, they're not as fluffy, they're definitely smaller. So compared to having something like this in my crease, I'm really working with something like this. So that makes all the difference. You can really get in, do more detailed work. So that is the secret, the game-changing secret to makeup, in my opinion, is just working with a smaller brush and just really packing the colors on. So let's go ahead, enough rambling, let's go ahead and get into the tutorial, and I will be sure to go in depth in explaining the techniques. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and let's go ahead and jump into it. With the method we're starting out with, we're going to go lighter, darker, and then a little bit lighter, but trust the process. So first I'm picking up Single, which is the lighter purple, and I'm just really packing that on with the 506 brush. When you're working with bright, colorful shadows especially, sometimes the formulation can be hard to work with, and to get like that bright pigment, you really want to pack it on. So the best way to work with colored shadows is to pack it on because of the formula, and the best way to get the payoff you want is to pack it on. So I'm just literally following the natural shape of my socket when I do the round halo eyes. That's the best and easiest way to describe it. And I go from outer corner to inner corner. I laid the color where I want it by packing it on, and then you can kind of go in on the edges and do windshield wiper motions and small circular motions to blend. Once I'm happy with that base layer down, I'm now going to move on to Escape, which is the darkest color that we're going to use for this look. And here I am just following the same method. This is where I said even brushes smaller than this would be good, because if I had a smaller brush, I could be a little bit more precise. But here I am doing the same motion, same shape, same technique of packing it on and slowly starting to blend it together. Escape is definitely the trickiest and most patchy shadow in the palette, so just take your time with it. Now the look is going to start to come to life, so I'm taking Skip on the very outer edge. So I did 50% on the dark purple, 50% of the color deposited onto my skin that doesn't have shadow on it yet. And you can see this color went on so easily, so I just had to really pack on the first layer. And now I'm just kind of going along in windshield wiper motions and small circular motions to blend the edges of that. So right now we're just really laying down the foundation for our colors, and then once we have that on, we can start to smooth and perfect everything. Now I'm just packing that dark purple on the outer corner and inner corner of my lid, and then again kind of reinforcing the darkness in the crease. These looks involve lots and lots of layers, so you definitely want to make sure you're taking your time with it. I'm just going in with the white on this palette, and I'm just ever so lightly, barely touching the brush to my skin, going over that pink edge. I didn't give myself long enough to explain more, but going over the pink edge with that white shadow is just going to help blend it into nothing and just help it look super, super faded out. So now with the concealer, I'm going in with my Tarte Shape Tape, and I'm just using a flat concealer brush for this. It doesn't really have a name or anything because I got it in an Ipsy bag. So you can see that I'm kind of basing the concealer around where I laid that purple down. So I'm not really touching the very outer edge or very inner corner of my lid with the concealer. And I'm just going right above, and I just use that dark purple as a guide. Again, you can also just follow the natural shape of where your eyeball goes into the socket. You can feel that crease there. That's the very edge of where we want the concealer to be. So when your eyes are open, you have that hint of the concealer showing, and that's just going to help with the more rounded halo Instagram makeup look that we're going for. And also, you just saw me look up while the concealer was wet. So if you're having a hard time determining where your concealer should go up to, that's kind of a trick that you can use. And it's a good guide because you can also see if you need to build up your darker colors. I am still one that struggles with getting the shape perfect and clean. I'm not clean by any means when it comes to laying down my concealer, but I'm going to show you how to fix it. So here I'm just really trying to make this concealer as opaque as possible. And one thing that's important to note is that I'm doing tapping. So I'm not swiping the brush, I'm literally tapping the shape into place, because when you start swiping, you start to get the colors that are laid down mixed in with your concealer, and I want my concealer to be as opaque and as true to skin color as possible. So by tapping the color on, I'm not risking blending any eyeshadow in with the concealer to change the color of the concealer. I hope that makes sense. So here to help blend the edge of the concealer, because if you leave it like that, it'll be like a really harsh indent and it'll be noticeable. So you definitely want to blend. So now I'm going back in, I picked up a little bit of that Escape color, and I'm just kind of blending the edge. And I did think that I brought the concealer up a little bit too high, so that's kind of why I'm going over the top of it and really darkening it, because I made a little mistake. So if you make a mistake, now you know how to correct it. Just really go over it with your shadow and you can just kind of blend your mistakes away.
I easily could have just edited this out and made the video so much shorter by not leaving this mistake in, but I just want to show you guys that it does happen and that not everybody is instantly and perfectly flawless like how we see in YouTube videos and online. So here you can see I'm going slightly under where I originally laid that concealer line down, and that's going to be like my new base for the concealer, and I can go in and darken above that too with shadow by packing it on more with a smaller brush. So I just wanted to show you how to fix the mistake in case you make one. In 3, 2, 1, this is what the look looks like with the shadow blended out. So you can see that I was able to pack on that purple shadow, and you never would have known that the concealer was starting to look a hot mess. So to set the concealer and to help brighten it even more, I'm just taking the white from the palette on a packing brush, and I'm just packing that onto the center of my eye. And here I am just again layering and blending. So I'm taking the teensiest amount of that shadow above where the concealer is and just like blending that out, so you do get a light layer of purple and it just looks hazy and just nice and blended together. So I'm just taking my blending brush clean with nothing on it, no additional product, and just kind of blending the chunks of white away. And here we just have a nice beautiful fade. To really help the shimmers pop and look more foily and brighter, I like to spray it with some Fix Plus. So I picked up Artistry on my finger. I'm wetting my finger, and this is just going to help make it a little bit more opaque, because especially with Artistry, it's such a beautiful color, but James described it as an eyeshadow topper, so it's not supposed to be super opaque. It's supposed to be very iridescent looking. I wish it wasn't an eyeshadow topper, quote unquote. I wish it was just more opaque, because I think it's absolutely beautiful. So I am really using a lot of shadow here and really piling it on. So I'm just going over the center of the lid that we left blank and that we left white. So I am just putting as much of that as I can to get that purple iridescence to really look solid. And I'm applying with my finger because in my personal opinion, shimmers apply best and the most pigmented and will look the most opaque when applied with your finger versus a brush. So if you don't want a shimmer to look quite as intense, you can use a brush. You can also pick up shadow with a brush, spritz it with some setting spray to activate it and really get it more foiled looking and apply it that way. But I still find my finger is the most impactful, especially for what I'm doing here. For the lower lash line, I am going back into Escape, and I'm picking that up on my E36. And here I'm going to work darkest to lightest on my lower lash line. That's just kind of how I like to go about things for that. So you can see I'm connecting, this is very important, I'm connecting what's on the bottom to what's in my crease. And this is what's really going to give you that full circle moment. And I'm just, bringing that from outer corner to inner corner, and I'm just really packing it on to make sure that it's super dark. And I'm bringing that all the way to the very inner corner. If you wanted to open your eyes up more, you could leave the inner corner open, but I really wanted to have like that super solid circle look. So I wanted to have it from inner to outer corner, so it just looked like the purple was a continuous circle around my eye. I just quickly wiped that brush off because we're going to use it again with the hot pink. So again, you can see how I'm kind of repeating the same thing. I did 50% of the brush with the product on the purple, the other 50% on my skin that doesn't have any eyeshadow. And you can see again how I'm connecting that pink to the pink that's in the crease. And I'm using the same technique. So I'm really packing the pink on first before I start to blend it out. And I just make sure I have everything in place and that everything is connected so we have that full circle moment. To blend that out, to give the edge a little bit more of a haze and a little bit more of a smoky edge to it, again, I just wipe this brush off quickly so there's no additional product. And I'm just lightly, again, with the lightest amount of pressure, just going around the edge, doing windshield wiper motions and small circular motions, and making sure that everything that's on the bottom blends seamlessly up to the top. We are almost there. It is time for finishing touches. So I just really packed Artistry on to this smaller brush that came in a Dose of Colors palette. And I just really wet it a lot because it is a very chunky topper, because it does have a lot of glitter to it. Looking back, I could have done without this step, but my biggest struggle as an artist is knowing when to stop. And if you get fallout, you can just easily wipe it away. I just use a dual fiber brush. And if your skin itches after you have your foundation on, you can kind of do what I did and just scratch that with a brush. So yeah, this is about it for the shadow. All that I'm going to do now is add some liner. When I do super bright, intensive looks like this, I don't want my eyeliner to take away from my look, so I'm putting down the thinnest line possible, and this is just going to help blend the falsies to your lash line so it looks cohesive. So that is all that I'm doing to finish up the eyes, and then I will be popping on my Ardell Wispy lashes.
That is gonna wrap it up for today's tutorial. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I know that the average person walks around wearing bright, colorful makeup, but I just want to put that education and my take on things out there in case if there are any other artists that love to work with color, or if you're a beginner and you want to learn how to own your craft a little bit, you can apply these same brushes and same techniques with any color eyeshadow that you wish to get a similar result. So let me know in the comments down below what kind of videos would you like to see from me next. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on my future content. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.